Welcome back to Judged by the Cover. Today I'm here to talk about a challenge that I challenged myself only to recently, to read 300 books in 3 years. I got my Goodreads in October of 2022. I don't know what day specifically, but that is the month. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this October 2025 will be 3 years since I got my Goodreads. So I was like, why don't I challenge myself to read 300 books in 3 years? It's a challenge, considering that I had only read 260 books by July 25th. So therefore, from July 25th to October 31st of this year, I had 40 books to read. And that could be of any length, audiobooks, ebooks, physical reads, whatever. And spoiler alert, I did it. I ended up finishing my 300th book on October 24th. And then I read 10 more after that between then and midnight on Halloween. I started out with 2 big novels and quickly realized I'm not going to do this if I read 500-page books only. So I started reading some short stories, specifically a lot of like the Amazon Prime reading pick short stories that are like 50 pages or so. And in the end, as I continue talking, we'll realize those didn't always work out for me, but they got me to my goal. So here we are. I'm going to talk about all of the books. I didn't physically have very many of the books I read. I checked out a lot from the library, physical or ebooks, and some audiobooks as well. So if I have the physical book, I'll hold it up while I'm talking about it. And if I don't have the physical book, I'll just put up a picture of the cover. I'm going to be giving spoilers about likely almost every book that I read during this time. So if you hear the title of a book that you're wanting to read, maybe you should skip that part. First, I read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I gave it 3 stars. It was good. I judged it by the cover. I had no idea. I didn't even know it had vampires in it until I read it. But I liked it. I think it was just a lot different than her books that I am used to, that I would give like 5 stars. So just 3 stars for this one. Second, Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I gave that 5 stars. Literally amazing. I felt like it was me. Like, she is a book editor and loves to read. She works for a publishing company, and honestly, she just has a really cool job. And her husband, accused of murder. Did he really do it? Did he not? Right reasons, whatever. And I like the time jump and where we went from the past to the future, and then 7 years ahead and such. And I loved the ending. When she finally found him, I was so excited. I was really hoping he wasn't dead. That was a great read. 5 stars. Definitely one of the top 3 books that I read for the 303. Well, okay, pause. Not for the 303 years, but for the 40 I read to finish the challenge. Famous Last Words is definitely in the top there. Third, I reread Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins because I hadn't yet read the 2 newer books that she wrote, and I wanted to be able to have be more familiar with the background, be refreshed about the background before reading those other stories. That way I could just get back into the vibe. I gave it 4 stars. If I was 16 right now, which I'm not, I would probably give it 5 stars because I definitely in high school just wanted to be Katniss. So, but that's how all of these would go, is I would give them 5 stars if I was reading them again when I was 16. But I'm not 16 anymore, so 4 stars. After that, I read a book called Cut by Patricia McCormick. I gave that 4 stars. It was good. It's trauma story, takes place in like a rehab type facility and talks about what a girl is going through as she deals with cutting and such. And some of the other girls there at the facility have other things that they are dealing with, but it specifically follows the one girl. I liked it a lot. I don't know, I vibe with the trauma, I guess. After that, I read Stranger Danger by Marin Stoffels. I don't know. These underlined paperbacks, it's like they're not connected or anything like that. Her books aren't connected, but they're all like the general same vibe of like some high school kids, maybe some college kids, young adults, whatever, going through some type of crazy thriller thing. So this one I gave 3 stars. It was pretty good. She has some other books that I read during this time as well. So my 6th book that I read during this time was Fright Night by the same girl. And you can't get the books that she writes in the United States when they publish, because I think she's Swedish, but when they finally publish, I immediately get them. They're not always available on Amazon, but there's a bookstore near us that keeps them there. I don't know how they get them. I don't even know how it works, because most of the time they're used when I get them from there. So I don't know who's getting these and where they're getting them from and how they're returning them or why they're returning them, because I like them a lot. I give all of her books 3 or 4 stars, and I don't want to get rid of them. They're such, like, this is like a 2-hour read tops, and just keeps you on the edge of your seat and is a little crazy as you're going through it. And I like that little YA psychological thriller situation. Usually there's like a teenager that's a murderer or something like that. Or at least a teenager gets murdered. You know, the simple things in life. 7th, I read Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins, 4 stars. Again, if I was 16, I would have given this 5 stars, but I'm not 16. I am not Katniss. I don't want to be Katniss, but when I was 16, I definitely wanted to be Katniss. But I'm going to be honest with you, if I went through the Hunger Games right now, I wouldn't survive for very long, unless it was an accident or I found a good hiding spot that had a good food and water supply. Then I read No Escape by same girl, Marin Stoffels, that I read the other 2 books by, and I have some more of her books, Escape Room and Room Service, and then I just got Deepwater, but I haven't read that yet. It was recently released. This was good as well. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm keeping it. I'm not trading it in. I like these a lot. I would recommend them for sure. Just a really easy thriller read. Next, I read The Ballad of the Songbirds and the Snakes. I gave it, this is not a reread. I reread Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay before reading this one, and I haven't read Sunrise on the Reaping yet, but this was really good. I haven't seen the movie. I need to watch the movie. It was very interesting to see like Snow's backstory, where he came from, and maybe a little bit of why he is the way that he is. It was sad. It hurt my heart. And I don't really like when I like feel for the villain, but I maybe a little bit did in this one. But anyways, yeah, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, 4 stars. After that, number 10 that I finished, Coraline by Neil Gaiman. This was my first time reading it. I have seen the movie so many times. It's one of my favorite movies, and the art inside of the book, well, this edition that I got is really cool, and it's a quick read, short little thing, kind of creepy, otherworldly vibes, and I just love reading about the little curious girl that finds this place in her wall. It's different a lot. It's a lot different from the movie, and I will say, as usual, I do like the book better than the movie. And even though I gave the book 5 stars, that doesn't mean, since I like it better than the movie, that I wouldn't give the movie 5 stars. I'd also give the movie 5 stars. I just think there was some more details in the book that weren't in the movie, that were missing, and I wish they'd been in the movie as well. 11th, this is the last book actually that I owned, that I read for the 303 years. That's The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. I don't even know. Okay, this book, I don't know what I thought it was going to be about, but it was weird. It had me feeling like after, like, what the heck did I just read? But it is like, I think it would be considered a classic. It has a Pulitzer, so I don't know. This is the 25th anniversary edition, so it's popular and good enough that they're reprinting for anniversaries. But I gave it 3 stars, and I would have to recommend it to very specific people. I can't recommend this to everyone. It's just freaking weird a little. Next, I read Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. I gave that 4 stars. A little bit of a horror. I heard from other people that they hated it, but I liked it a lot. It was creepy. Night of the Mannequins was good. Gave it 4 stars. Just like a little horror thriller vibe. The big mannequin situation that wasn't actually real because he forgot to take his meds. I thought that was cool. Really weird. Mannequins scare me, and I liked being creeped out by that book. Next, I read Ankle Snatcher by Grady Hendrix, 5 stars. It's very hard for me to not highly rate Grady Hendrix. I love all of his books, but I literally, at what point is someone not scared that there's something under their bed? And here we are with the Ankle Snatcher. I would definitely recommend. Next, It Waits in the Woods by Josh Malerman, whatever, I don't know. It's the same person who wrote Bird Box. And I gave that 5 stars, and I liked it a lot. Creepy, an easy read. It was short, one of the like prime reading picks or whatever. And I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys like horror, thriller, that vibe or whatever. After that, I read Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, whatever. 4 stars. Love this series. Loved hearing from more people than just inner monologue in this one, because sometimes the inner monologue is just like, okay, we've heard enough from you. And it was good to hear from different people. After that, I read In Bloom by Paul Tremblay. Gave it 2 stars. It's another prime reading pick, and I think this is the point where my prime reading picks started to go downhill. I picked them based on prompts for a readathon that I did separate from this challenge, and I just thought they were stupid. This one wasn't as bad as some of the other ones because I understood what it was getting at, but I wouldn't recommend it. 2 stars. Next, I read A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Haro, whatever. 2 stars. And then A Mirror Mended, which is like kind of connected. It was cool to see some characters from the first one and the second one, but like just interconnected standalones. I gave the second one, A Mirror Mended, 3 stars. I love twisted fairy tales, but I have so many other twisted fairy tales that I've read and loved more than these that I just couldn't rate these high. It also could have been right book, wrong time, but I wasn't into these. We're at number 19. Best of Luck by Jason Mott. This was like a little prime reading pick horror. I did give it 4 stars. And then Big Bad by Chandler Baker, another prime reading pick horror, creature feature vibe. I gave that 2 stars. The werewolf vibe, it's cool. I like it. But I think I was just like, I struggle getting invested in a book if it's so short, I think, because a lot of books take me 20, 30, 40, even 50 pages to get into, and then I'll be sold on it and give it 5 stars. But these end, like by the time I'm hooked or I'm at 50 pages, it's over and I'm like, okay, and then what? So maybe short stories just aren't my vibe. But for the sake of reading 40 books in 3 months, I had to do some short stories. Number 21, Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead by Jenny Hollander. I gave that 4 stars. It was a good like psychological thriller vibe. And to be honest with you, I'm getting to the point where I've read so many books in a row that I can't always remember everything about a book that I read. I have this great thing. I don't know if it's good or bad. Basically, read a book and then I could read it again the next year and not really remember anything about it until I get into it again. It's the same thing with movies. I could watch a movie and then watch it a year later and have no idea, like, oh, I remember that I watched this, but I have no idea where it's gonna go in the end. I think I just put so much stuff in my brain that it's crowded and stuff flows back out of my ears or something. But anyways, next, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. I gave 5 stars. I think it's the only nonfiction that I read during this 303 years. Okay, when I say that, I mean these 40 books that I just read. So whatever before that, I've definitely read nonfiction before that, especially with school and stuff. So these past 40, this is the only nonfiction that I read. basically you're doing too much in life, which is probably why I can't remember things. So slow it down, cut stuff out if you need to, and focus on the important things. Eliminate hurry ruthlessly. Next is The Autobiography of a Traitor and a Half Savage by Alex E. Harrow, and I gave this 4 stars, and I gave it a chance considering I gave the other 2 books a 2 stars and 3 stars. So I liked this a lot. It was shorter, like I think around 100 pages, but it was long enough for me to get invested in and short enough for me to read in one sitting. So I enjoyed it. Fantasy, historical vibes. It's kind of hard to explain, but it was neat. Read it. Next, Doll Bones by Holly Black, 3 stars. I think this was too young for where I'm at right now. Sometimes I like reading middle grade fiction. I mean, we know I love Series of Unfortunate Events, but I think this was just like, I was like, children. Next, We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall, 4 stars. Pretty much love anything that she writes. All like thriller, psychological thriller vibe. Next, Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose, 4 stars. This was crazy. I would definitely recommend to anybody who likes those genres, like thriller vibe and stuff. I, like in the best way, didn't expect it to go where it did with like who was the killer and such, but it wasn't in the way that I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming, because it doesn't make sense. Like it made sense once it was explained. I liked it a lot. I think it was just missing the edge for me to give it 5 stars. So 4 stars. We're at 27 now. Glorious Rivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, 3 stars. Inheritance Games and all that. I love the series. I gave them most of them high ratings. Now that we're in this like spin-off series or whatever it is, I don't know if they're just coming out fast or what, but I'm like, this is it's a lot of fluff and it's just too much. So I gave it 3 stars. Next, My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine, whatever, 5 stars. It's traditionally published fan fiction. I think it's Raylo. I liked it a lot. It's the first romance I had read in like 6 or 7 months, and it was good. I thought it was funny. I think the reason why I was able to read the romance is because it like had vampires in it, so there was like a little bit of supernatural vibe. Then Every Spiral of Fate by Tahera, how do you say that? Mafi? I gave that 4 stars. I love the Infinite Threads series and the Shatter Me series. Literally anything she writes is great. All of it is above 3 stars for me. I'll definitely continue reading that series. And then With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. It wasn't my favorite of his books. It was more just thriller-esque and not so much, there wasn't much horror in it, so I did miss that aspect, but I did enjoy reading it a lot, so I gave it 4 stars. After that, Death Row by Frida McFadden, 3 stars. It was the first thing I've ever read by her. It was honestly so twisted and hard for me to figure out what was real and what wasn't. And after finishing it, I think I still don't understand what was real and what wasn't. I would recommend it, but I wouldn't read it again. We're at 32. The Hillside by Jane Smiley. Amazon Prime reading pick, 1 star. Don't feel like talking about it. Don't Turn Out the Lights by Jonathan Mayberry, 3 stars. That was like a compilation, kind of like scary stories to tell in the dark. It was like a tribute thing. It was all right. Next, Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. Now that I'm reading through this, I think this is the one that's Raylo fan fiction. I don't know. If you want to read it, you can look it up what the backstory is. But as we know, I read it because it was recommended to me, or I judged it by the cover. So 4 stars. I liked it. We've got romance and playing the cello, basically. That's all you need to know. It's a good book. Then I read The Night Shift by Alex Finlay. This was me discovering who Alex Finlay was, and I really like it. Lots of thriller, and I immediately started reading all of the books that have ever been written by him. I gave it 5 stars. I read Every Last Fear by Alex Finlay and gave it 4 stars. And then I read If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finlay and gave it 5 stars. And then I read Fearful by Lauren Roberts and gave it 5 stars. Literally one of the best books I've read this year. I loved the death personified. I loved the Blair and Linny banter. Next, number 39 is The Amalfi Curse by Sarah Penner. I really enjoy her books. Gave it 4 stars. It's the closest thing you could get to like mermaid vibes without it actually having mermaids in it. Then I read Not Quite Done Yet. That was my 40th book, and I am so glad it was my 40th book. I gave it 5 stars. It's by Holly Jackson, who did Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it's so good. Like, literally amazing. Jet is solving her own murder. 7 days left to live because she's going to have an aneurysm. So she's solving the murder that hasn't happened to her yet. Technically, attempted murder until she dies, but I cried when she died. Spoiler alert, my bad. But gosh, I felt so connected to this story, and I was moderately surprised by who the killer ended up being, but in a way that made sense. Then that was 40, done on October 24th, and then I read 10 more books after that. My Vampire Plus one, which comes after My Roommate is a Vampire, interconnected standalone, and I gave that 4 stars. And then Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Alvin Schwartz, 3 stars, because with anthologies, compilations, whatever, there's some in it that are great and some in it that I'm just like, that was dumb. Anyways, then I read Controller by Jesse Kellerman, 2 stars, Amazon Prime reading pick. Don't feel like talking about it. Then I read Catcher in a Lie by Jess Laurie, 5 stars, Prime reading pick. That was crazy. It's like kind of just like a crime thriller, but it's some like female kind of vigilante vibe. Sold. Then I read The Prince and the Troll by Rainbow Rowell. 3 stars. I enjoyed it. Twisted fairy tale vibe. Kind of weird. Then More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. I gave that 2 stars because I liked less of the stories in that than I liked in the first one. Then I read Hazel and Grey by Nick Stone, 1 star. Hansel and Gretel remake, bad. Ugh. Then I read The Cleaners by Kim Liu, 3 stars. Love the concept of like cleaning items of the memories that are attached to them, but I just felt like it didn't go anywhere. And that might have been because it's just too short. Well, too short for me. Short story. Then I read Shell Game by Rahman Alam. I don't know. 1 star. Prime reading pick. Regret. Finally, the last book I read in October was Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera, 5 stars. It is like set up with a podcast in it, and I really like that. I've read books like that in the past before, and it's like a psychological thriller trying to figure out who actually killed her friend because she has amnesia because she was hit on the head when her friend was killed. So trying to figure out it was really her. But anyways, I would say the top 3 books that I read: Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson, definitely. Famous Last Words by Jillian McAllister. Probably Fearful by Lauren Roberts. So I accepted the challenge and I conquered the challenge. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed hearing about all of these books and take my recommendations. And most importantly, I want you to leave watching this video and go to a bookstore and choose a book to read because you judged it by the cover.